Imagine yourself standing before an endless feast. There are dishes of every kind, colorful, fragrant, enticing. You consume without thinking, without measuring how much it truly nourishes you. At first, it feels satisfying, but over time, something is lost. The feeling of fullness is replaced by a void. Now, think of this as a metaphor for what we consume every day. Modern entertainment, social media, binge-watching series, short videos. All of it seems to fill our time, but does it truly enrich our lives? Guy Debord warned about this in The Society of the Spectacle. He said the spectacle would take the place of genuine human connections, creating a society where we watch but don't participate. Have you ever felt like your time vanishes in an endless cycle of content that leaves no lasting memories? That's the trap. Entertainment, which should be a break for rest and enjoyment, has become a mechanism of cultural alienation, turning us into passive spectators of our own lives. Have we lost control over culture, or is there still a way to reclaim it? We live in times where depth is sacrificed for convenience. The frantic pace of modern life has turned the consumption of information into a race with no finish line. We're bombarded with notifications, quick headlines, and short videos that promise to keep us updated in seconds. But can we truly process all this in a meaningful way? Compare the habit of scrolling through news on your phone to the act of reading a book. A book demands dedication, time, and focus. It invites us to dive into complex ideas, to meet characters, and to explore worlds that challenge our perceptions. On the other hand, quick news snippets give us only the surface of reality. It's like replacing a nutritious meal with constant snacking, momentarily satisfying but leaving an ever-growing void. In Brave New World, Aldous Huxley describes a society where people are conditioned to seek immediate pleasure, distracting themselves from any form of reflection or discomfort. What once seemed like fiction has become eerily familiar. We're immersed in a world where superficiality reigns, making it hard to delve deeply into anything. It's as if we have a cultural treasure buried beneath layers of constant distractions. But we're too preoccupied to dig it up. This superficiality is not harmless. It diminishes our ability to grapple with complex ideas, to question, and to understand what truly matters. Have you ever felt that? Despite consuming so much information, nothing meaningful sticks with you. That's the sensation of overload without substance. It's like watching a fireworks display. Beautiful, but fleeting. Reclaiming cultural depth isn't a luxury. It's a necessity. Setting aside time to absorb what truly matters is like uncovering a hidden treasure, one that connects us to what genuinely enriches our lives and understanding of the world. What's more valuable? Knowing what everyone is talking about in the moment, or having the ability to reflect on what truly matters. We live in the age of the magic mirror, where everything we see reflects not who we are, but what we want others to see, in a world dominated by selfies, filters, and perfectly curated feeds. Appearance has become a powerful currency. Social media platforms like Instagram have turned validation into numbers. How many likes can you get? How many followers have you amassed? But in this endless quest for approval, what are we sacrificing? Image has come to dictate who we are. Think for a moment. How often is a post more about looking happy than actually being happy? This tyranny not only redefines our values but also distorts our perception of reality. Neil Postman, in Amusing Ourselves to Death, warned that in a culture dominated by images, substance would be replaced by spectacle. Take politics. For example, it's no longer judged by ideas or concrete plans, but by charisma in front of cameras and the ability to craft a captivating visual narrative. This passive consumption of images weakens our ability to think critically. It's like living in a hall of mirrors. Every distorted reflection feels real until you try to touch it. The image, which should complement content, has become the content itself. And the more we focus on the superficial, the less space we leave for what truly matters. Everyday life offers clear examples of this. Social media has created an invisible pressure for everything to be visually perfect. A cup of coffee is no longer just coffee. It's a staged scene. A day at the beach isn't just a moment of relaxation. It's a showcase opportunity. We're compelled to turn moments into displays and measure our worth by the digital engagement we generate. In the age of the image, content is judged by its packaging. But can we really reduce ourselves to pixels and filters? Regaining authenticity requires effort. We need to question what we choose to show and, more importantly, why. After all, living to please the mirror is forgetting that reality lies on the other side of it. Imagine a classroom where the teacher, instead of teaching, becomes a performer, more concerned with entertaining than educating. This scenario, increasingly common, reflects how education has also been influenced by the logic of spectacle. Methods that once aimed at fostering critical thinking are now shaped by the demands of an audience that must be engaged at all costs. There's no denying that visual aids and dynamic lessons can make learning more engaging. However, the danger lies in balance. When we prioritize entertainment, the content often loses depth. It's like decorating a gift box, but forgetting to put anything valuable inside. For instance, the overuse of colorful presentations or animated videos might capture students' attention. But does it truly help them think critically? We live in a time where the question, "How can we make this attractive?" often replaces, "How can we teach this effectively?" This shift in priorities is troubling. We're teaching the next generation to be entertained, not to think. A student who consumes information as if watching a TV show may struggle to question or apply what they've learned outside the classroom. Consider traditional methods that, while less flashy, demanded cognitive effort. Reading, writing, and debating are practices that, although challenging, lay a solid foundation for critical thinking. Neil Postman observed that in the television era, information was delivered in fragmented and emotional bursts. In education, this translates into content that prioritizes momentary impact but fails to leave a lasting impression. Are we shaping minds or merely entertaining bodies? This question resonates not just among educators, but also among students and families. The transformation of education into a spectacle isn't confined to classrooms. Digital platforms offer quick and engaging courses, but they often lack depth. Everything seems to converge toward fast learning, where knowledge is consumed like a 3-minute clip. Reversing this trend requires a collective effort. Teachers, students, and families must value not just dynamism, but also rigor. Critical education is the pathway to forming agents of societal transformation. True learning doesn't lie in how it's presented, but in the impact it has on the way we think and act. In a world where information is just a click away, it seems we know more and more. Yet this avalanche of data often gives us the illusion of knowledge without the depth needed to truly understand it. Knowing a little about many things has become the new normal. But to what extent does that help us make decisions or solve real problems? Consider the quick headlines we consume daily. They offer fragments of information, but rarely provide context or reflection. It's like seeing the tip of an iceberg without recognizing the vastness submerged below. As a result, we form opinions based on scattered pieces without a solid foundation to support them. This not only limits our ability to interpret reality, but also weakens critical thinking. Aldous Huxley in Brave New World and George Orwell in 1984 explored different forms of cultural control. Huxley envisioned a society drowning in irrelevant distractions, while Orwell depicted one suppressed by censorship. Today, we live in a combination of both. We have the freedom to access any information, yet we're so overwhelmed by irrelevance that we struggle to distinguish the essential from the trivial. This is reflected in everyday situations. How often have you read a headline and repeated it in conversation without checking the details, or participated in debates where ideas are defended with fragile arguments drawn from short videos or memes? This superficiality might make us feel informed, but in practice, it reveals our inability to tackle complex issues. This paradox is not just frustrating, it's dangerous. Superficiality diminishes our ability to solve problems effectively, leaving us vulnerable to manipulation. After all, how can we criticize or challenge something if we lack the knowledge to question it? It's like building a house on sand. At the first sign of trouble, everything collapses. To break this cycle, we must slow down and relearn how to explore content with depth. Reading a full article, reflecting on a topic, or discussing issues in detail are ways to reclaim control over our knowledge. Superficiality might seem practical, but depth is what truly empowers us. After all, what is more valuable? Accumulating information or being able to use it meaningfully? the cultural spectacle consuming our attention does not exist in isolation. It is shaped, fueled, and perpetuated by those who watch it. By us. While we complain about shallow content, we binge-watch reality shows and click on the most sensational headlines. We are co-creators of this cycle. Consumers who, out of convenience or distraction, ultimately determine what sells. But how aware are we of this? Imagine a grand stage where performers act not based on their desires, but on what they believe the audience expects. This is how the entertainment and information industries operate. When we prioritize shallow content, we encourage its reproduction. It's like planting seeds and then being surprised by the fruit. By consuming passively, we reinforce the notion that culture must be easy, quick, and disposable. Television programs, for instance, often follow formulas that guarantee viewership. Reality shows, with their drama and exaggerations, are designed to capture attention, not inspire reflection. The same goes for digital platform algorithms, which suggest content based on what kept our eyes glued the longest. And so, the cycle sustains itself. We consume what is given, and in doing so, we validate its existence. Are we choosing what to watch, or are we being chosen by the algorithm? This question forces us to confront our role in this game. The audience is not passive. It dictates what stays and what fades away. Every click, every view, is a vote. And by choosing superficial spectacle, we help shape a culture that mirrors this pattern. But there is another path. Consuming consciously is an act of resistance, questioning what we watch, seeking content that challenges our minds, and resisting the urge to go with the flow are ways to change this dynamic. The audience has the power to reverse the cycle, but it requires effort. It means saying no to what's easy and yes to what's meaningful. We shape the spectacle, but it also shapes us. Choosing better content isn't just an individual act. It's a cultural statement. The quality of what's on stage depends on what we choose to applaud. Reclaiming cultural control is like reassessing an unbalanced diet. For too long, we've consumed thoughtlessly, absorbing whatever was served without questioning its quality or impact. Now is the time to carefully select what we feed our minds, just as a balanced diet improves our physical health. A conscious consumption of culture strengthens our intellectual and emotional well-being. The first step is to slow down. In a world of constant notifications and split-second videos, choosing to pause and dive into something meaningful is already a revolutionary act. Set aside time to read a book, listen to music with focus, or watch a film that provokes reflection. These moments aren't just breaks. They're necessary breaths in an oversaturated environment. Another approach is to engage in meaningful discussions, instead of merely consuming content. Seek out conversations that spark ideas. Book clubs, debates, or even informal chats can uncover perspectives that enrich understanding. After all, culture isn't just what we consume, it's also what we share. Disconnecting digitally is equally essential. This doesn't mean abandoning technology, but using it with purpose, carefully choosing what to watch, limiting time on social media, and avoiding the trap of mindless scrolling are practices that help us regain control over how we invest our time and attention. Finally, remember that small changes can have a big impact. Replacing passive consumption with active engagement is a powerful shift. Watching a documentary instead of a reality show or dedicating a few minutes a day to deep reading are ways to reclaim cultural control. It's not about eliminating entertainment, but balancing it with content that genuinely enriches us. Reclaiming cultural control begins with individual choices that, when combined, create collective transformation. Like any change, the process requires effort and intention, but it is in this effort that we find the opportunity to rebuild a culture that reflects not just what is popular, but what is meaningful. After all, every choice we make is a step toward what we want to value. Amid so much distraction, the real question isn't just about what we consume, but what we leave behind. Every choice we make reflects not only what we value, but also who we are becoming. The spectacle is alluring, but we don't have to be its prisoners. We can choose to step out of the role of spectators and take the lead in our own lives. This shift to agency begins when we stop merely reacting and start choosing with intention. Instead of letting algorithms dictate our priorities, we can redirect our attention to what truly matters. The culture we aspire to isn't shaped by a grand collective gesture, but by individual decisions repeated every day. Reevaluating what we consume isn't an act of deprivation. It's an act of creation. It creates space for what inspires us, for connections that resonate beyond the surface, for ideas with substance. It's about building a world where depth and meaning coexist with lightness and joy. The question that remains is simple, yet powerful. What will you choose to take forward? Every choice, no matter how small, has the potential to shape not just your experience, but the world around you. The spectacle will continue to exist, but you decide where the main stage lies.